Hello and welcome to Some Church News. I'm your host, Jason Hilton. Now you may be asking yourself, what is Some Church News? It sounds an awful lot like Some Good News with John Krasinski. Well, you'd be right. It's a complete ripoff of Some Good News with John Krasinski. Only instead of good news, it's good church news. Instead of John Krasinski, me. So, he sold the rights. Here's hoping we don't get sued for copyright infringement. Anyway, welcome to episode 1. In Some Church News, we know that over the last 5 or 6 months, we've had some, bit of a disruption going on. And it may be possible that you've missed something along the way. There's been a ton of good news in spite of all of the craziness. So I wanted to make sure that we highlight a few of those things here today. And what better place to start than with baptisms? That's right. Did you know that over the course of the last several months, since March 1, we have had 13 baptisms here at the Madison Church of Christ? I'd like to encourage you to take a minute, find their contact information through the church database, send them a card, give them a phone call, and welcome them to the family. 13 baptisms just since March. What a wonderful thing to rejoice. Speaking of new beginnings and great news, I recently had the opportunity to sit down with Meredith and Andrew Broadfoot and to talk about the birth of their baby, Mary Lee. Now, you may remember several months back in March, we got news that Mary Lee had come several weeks, even months early, and it was a very scary, tense situation. But things have worked out wonderfully to the glory of God. Take a look. Well, hey guys, how are y'all doing?
Good, how are you?
Doing good. We're here with the Broadfoots and, of course, Miss Mary Lee there snoozing away. We're all excited to see her. So glad you guys are home as one family now, back in your own house. And what a wild ride. If you would just kind of give us a recap, because now we're talking. I mean, this was back in March when you guys when Andrew, I guess you got that call to head to the hospital. So walk us through kind of what that experience was like and how long you were there in the hospital and that sort of thing.
It all started, she was born on March 19th. And the day before, I really didn't feel, she was always really active. She kicked like crazy. And for a day, I really didn't feel her moving at all. So I called the doctor. They told me she was probably just growing, not to worry about it, but to come on in and they'd do an ultrasound. Went in, they did an ultrasound. Everything looked fine, except she just wouldn't move. And then they took my blood pressure, and my blood pressure was 190 over 100.
No, it's 210.
Or 210 over. It was very, very high.
Yes.
And my blood pressure is normally pretty low. So they sent me to the hospital, Madison Hospital, for observation, thinking that I'd go home on blood pressure medicine. So I called Andrew, let him know what was going on. I walked in the hospital at 12:30 in the afternoon, and basically, while I was filling out my paperwork, Mary Lee's heart rate went from 150 down to 30. And the doctor just said, okay, well, we're doing a C-section and you're going to have this baby now. And so at 25 weeks and 3 days, she was born. And she was born at 107. So it was very quick from the time I walked into the hospital to the time she was actually born. And I remember I hadn't gotten to the part where I gave them my emergency contact information yet in the paperwork. And so one of the nurses was smart enough to grab my phone and put it in front of my face so she could open it, and figured out who my husband was from my contacts list.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah.
That's crazy. Wow.
I was in a meeting at work and my phone's just dialing 15 times and I don't have good service. And on the 15th time, I finally stepped out and figured out that it was the nurse telling me to come to the hospital. So,
oh man.
Yeah. So when Mary Lee was born, she was 1 pound, 3 ounces. She wasn't breathing. And luckily, the Madison Hospital is obviously not equipped for a tiny baby. They called Huntsville, and one of the people at Huntsville was smart enough to think that Emily Womany, who's a neonatal nurse practitioner, lives right around the corner from Madison Hospital, and she was off work that day. And they called her, and she came up there and was there within 10 minutes after Mary Lee was born, and stayed with her in the ambulance ride to Huntsville and stayed with her all the way, I think, through the end of the day that day.
What a blessing.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, me and Emily hit the door at the hospital at the same time, but I had to get my check in, and she just kept running.
Yeah.
To the
She had that VIP pass there.
right.
Yeah, she did. Luckily, thank goodness.
Mhm.
So she ended up, they were able to get her breathing, got her on a ventilator,
Yeah,
got her in an incubator, and they transferred her via ambulance to Huntsville.
correct.
She honestly, they didn't think that she was going to make it through the night. And
They didn't even think she was going to make it to the ambulance ride because they told me to stay with Meredith, and then 5 minutes later they're like, "You need to come to Huntsville," and that's where I ended up meeting Brandon, Presnell, and Jordan at the hospital, and like they figured out what was going on, and they didn't think she was going to make it, but luckily
she obviously did.
she did.
Yeah.
But my blood pressure was still really high, and so they had me on some medication. So they tried to transfer me. Emily Womany actually called and was like, "You need to get her here. She needs to be able to see her baby," because they just didn't think Maylee was going to make it. And I couldn't move for 24 hours. They couldn't. So I had to wait until she was born at 1:07. I didn't actually meet her till the next day at 6 p.m.
Yeah.
Oh, I can't
So-
imagine that. Wow.
Yeah. So, but she's done everything that they said that she needed to do. The one thing that they told us when she was first born was we needed her to go to the bathroom, and we prayed and we prayed and we prayed
Yeah.
for her to go to the
Because
bathroom.
the first 2 days she really never moved, and she didn't go to the bathroom, and they were afraid she was going to swell up and just have
A lot of problems.
A lot of problems.
But she finally did.
You never thought you'd find yourself praying to God that your kid would go to the bathroom.
Yes, yes.
Yes.
Now we actually pray that she would stop sometimes.
No, I'm very familiar with that one. Yeah.
We laugh at the fact that we were praying for that so much.
Yeah, there's a lot of those ups and downs in this parenting
Yes.
game. That's for sure. A bit of a roller coaster. So that's
But
great.
yeah, we were in the hospital for 111 days,
Wow.
and that was tough on us for the first couple of months because while Meredith was in the hospital, I could be the baby's visitor, and we could both go to and see her. But once Meredith got transferred out was back when, COVID was really restricted.
Wow.
And so there was only one visitor, period. And so for 2 months,
For 5 weeks.
for 5 weeks or so, she was the only person that could go to the hospital and spend any time with her.
So we FaceTimed. They were luckily, they were really good about letting us
Yeah.
FaceTime. Typically you're not allowed to do that, but I would go in. She was on a little isolette, and so I'd go in and I'd turn the FaceTime on and set it on the top of the incubator so you could see her and talk to her.
You guys have just such a unique experience. I can't wait till she's old enough for you to tell her what her arrival was like and all the different things that kind of play a part, to have Emily right there providentially off that day and kind of walk through that process with you. And I can't imagine 2 months not being able to hold your baby. Man, I know that had to have been challenging for you, Andrew. That's
Yeah, it's a good, when Andrew, the last time he got to see her when I was in the hospital, she was 1 pound. She really wasn't moving and she just didn't look very good. And then when he finally got to see her again 5 weeks later, she was like 2.5 pounds. She was feisty as could be. She was all the time pulling out her feeding tube. She tried to pull out her breathing tube. She was like kicking. So it was a huge transformation for him, I know.
Yes.
I'm assuming you took that opportunity to say, what have you been teaching my daughter? Clearly,
Yes.
clearly she didn't learn this from me in the last 2
Yes.
months.
Yeah,
Exactly. Because
Yes.
she couldn't have because I wasn't there.
There you
yeah, clearly she has my attitude.
go. Oh man, that's awesome. What an unbelievable opportunity to see God at work. Just through all the details there. You guys are a living testament to His faithfulness. Tell me some of the spiritual impacts that going through this experience has had on you guys.
Plan obviously going in, and this was not it, but we figured out that real fast that God had a different plan, and we just had to trust Him. And the power of prayer, like we've had all of Madison praying for us, we've had my parents' church praying for us, we've had grandparents' church, and just all different people praying for us. And she's living proof that prayer works, because there's no doubt that she wouldn't have made it through everything she went through without people constantly praying over her. And we know that God's had a hand in everything that she's been through, from how she was born and why she was born so early and everything we've had to go through. We know this is part of his plan.
Absolutely. Well, you guys still have an army of folks that love you and that we're praying for you. We definitely cannot wait to see you guys in person. Can we get her a little bit higher there so we can get?
Hold on. I'll try to take her past out too. We'll see if she gets too
Don't want
mad
to
at
make
me.
her upset. Hey, sweet girl. Oh, how beautiful. How beautiful. You say hi. Whoa. Somebody woke me up. What's that furry creature on the screen here?
Who is that? She says, "Hey, if you feed me, I'll be your friend."
That's
There
right.
you go. That's right. Well, I'm gonna leave that to Mama and Matt there. So, Mary Lee, we love you and we cannot wait to grow with you as you get older and continue to glorify God with your life, girl. We're so happy to have you with us, and we love you guys as well. We're going to continue to pray and just can't wait to be back together soon. So, thank you guys for being with us today.
Yeah, we're going to express the gratitude that we have for all the cards, all the phone calls, all the meals provided, the gifts, and even, just the prayers that we haven't, heard from people. But we're very thankful for a great church family.
Absolutely, man. We're grateful for you guys.
Mhm.
And wait to see you soon. Hopefully one of these days we'll be back face to face.
That's right. Hopefully.
All right. Well, we'll let her get some more napping in, and we'll talk with you guys soon, okay?
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
I feel like I've just watched a whole year's worth of Hallmark movies after that interview. Meredith and Andrew, we're just so glad that you were able to be with us today, and thank you so much for letting us see sweet Mary Lee. We're excited to see you guys in person one of these days and just to rejoice with you. We love you, and we're glad you're here at Madison. Now, as great a story as that was, that's not the only good news we've had. Things have started to get a little bit closer to normal as we've been able to meet together in certain situations here at the building and in the church parking lot. As you'll remember, children's worship, we've had a couple of those here in the month of August. They've been very successful. Kids have had a great time, learned about a couple of different instances in the life of David, of how to overcome Goliath, how to trust in God, and also how to be a great Finn. Not a Finn, because we don't know how to be Finns, but to be a friend for sure with David and Mephibosheth. David and Mephibosheth. David and his friend's former king's son. David was a good friend. We've also had a couple of parking lot devotionals out in the back parking lot through the last couple of months, and those have been wonderful. They've been well attended, and the Lord blesses with incredible weather. This last one, if you want to go to madisonchurch.org/parkinglotdevo, you can still download the PDF program of all the songs that we sang, the prayers that were prayed, and then the short message that was given there. Thanks, Brandon, for that picture. Men's breakfast has also started back up in the back parking lot. We've had tremendous turnout for that. Dozens of men of the congregation have joined up on Tuesday mornings. Be sure to swing by if you're available, 6:30 a.m. for that Tuesday mornings in the back parking lot. Bring your own breakfast and a lawn chair and enjoy some fellowship before you get the day started. And last but not least, certainly not least, we have had an army of teachers do everything they can to try to connect with our students while we're away from Bible study. We've had people meet in the parking lot. We've had Zoom classes. We've had so many Zoom classes. And as you know, it's not easy to pull off a Zoom class. It's downright exhausting sometimes. But our teachers, they have put in so much effort and energy and creativity to make this still, especially for our children, an immersive experience to learn the Bible and to continue to grow spiritually. And I just want to take a second and to say thank you to those teachers. Well, it's not just Bible class that's getting back to school. We have a new segment that we like to call,
Oh, back to school, back to school.
Here we are, the end of August. We've got students headed back to school, whether virtually or in person. They have jumped through hurdles, they prepared, parents have frantically tried to get together what they need, and especially teachers and faculty have tried to piece together some semblance of non-chaos in the midst of complete chaos to try to pull off a learning environment that will inspire and encourage. So to all of our students out there, good luck this year. We hope you have a great semester. And to all of our teachers, hang in there. We're praying for you, we're pulling for you, and we're grateful that you have the influence you have on these students and these families. We put together a little slideshow so you can get an idea of just how many folks are headed back to school this year. Take a look. Turning now to a building update, we'll go to our associate, Mr. Joe Harless. Joe, what have you got for us?
Looking for the end of winter in the middle of July. Oh, hey everybody. Well, I guess you've been wondering. You hadn't been coming to the building. I guess old Joe just sitting around like the Maytag repairman with nothing to do, right? Au contraire. I guess maybe you've heard some rumors, but we won't go into all that. But just know that old Joe is keeping the building all ready in case you ever come back to it. Okay? All right. I know it looks like I'm not busy, but I've been busy. Just believe me. All right. See you when you get back.
Okay. All right, Joe. He's got jokes. Anywho, our next segment is the Everyday Hero Award, and this is awarded to 2 outstanding members of Madison that have shown bravery and camaraderie and exemplary and all the other Uries in their conduct over the last several months. The first, of course, is a no-brainer. It goes to Miss Emily Humani. Congratulations, Emily, for your bravery, for your outstanding record land speed time to get from Madison Hospital to Huntsville Hospital, and especially for being there in the midst of such a difficult time with the Broadfoot family. We want to thank you, and we want to acknowledge just how much of a blessing you are, not only to us as a church family, but clearly to all those that you come in contact with there at the hospital. So, Emily Humani, we will award you along with Brian Ortner. Brian is our other recipient this year of the Everyday Hero Award. Brian, for those that don't know, is in charge of communion supplies, and he has done a wonderful job of making sure that week in, week out, whether we're meeting at the building or whether people need communion supplies at home, he has worked tirelessly to try to make those things available, to adapt to the situation, and to make sure that his ministry continues to move forward and continues to help us as a church move forward. So we want to honor each of you, Emily and Brian, for your bravery. Brian's not as brave, I guess, with communion, but for your bravery as well as for your servant's heart and your willingness to jump out and to lead. This is what you will be awarded. This is a Better Together. This is a sticker, I get it, but we're getting a pin, so you'll be able to put it right there on your lapel, and everybody will know that you are the recipient of the honorable award of the Everyday Hero. It's a little silly, and I would show you the pin, but they haven't come in the mail yet, so you can have a sticker. I don't have much of a budget for this. So, on to our next segment, one of my personal favorite. It's entitled A Word with Siegfried. Take it away, Siegfried.
Fahre Vergnügen.
And that was A Word with Siegfried. Well, that's all for all of us here at Some Church News. Me. But anyway, I'm so glad that you're with us. If you're still watching, bless your soul. What a wonderful person you are. If you know of other wonderful people that are doing wonderful things, share that with me. We want to make sure and get them featured as well. With all the chaos and the negativity and all the frustration that's gone on over the last several months, we need a little good news, and we need some good church news to share. So send that in, jason@madisonchurch.org, or find me on the Facebook or the Instagram as well. I'm so glad you're with us. I hope that you've had a great day. Take care now. Bye-bye then. I have to work on the ending. All right.